Houston. Houston, we have a problem. DJ Apollo has landed. I repeat, DJ Apollo has landed at Hitmix 88.9 WEIU.
Welcome to the Tales of Music and Film podcast. I'm DJ Apollo, and I got a couple guys here.
DJ Apollo in the house.
You betcha. And I got these two guys with me. Who are you again?
I don't know. I forgot my name a long time ago.
I can't remember either. I
what's
feel like
my
I've been stuck in this room for so long.
So long story short, I was desperate for guests. I couldn't find anyone. I found these two guys just on the street. I was just like, "You want to be on the podcast?"
I thought you were offering me $5 for this.
Yeah, where's my pay? I feel like I've been in this room for so long.
Yeah,
you brought up doing a two-parter, you monster.
Look,
Come on, why are we doing two parts of this?
Okay, look, I gave you guys your scripts. I told you, just go off of what I say. I'll make it $10 if you make your comments interesting.
Stop sharpening that knife. You're making me nervous.
Oh boy, but for anyone who doesn't know, this is a part 2. We've already recorded part 1. We are covering the sequel Star Wars Trilogy by Disney, which is Force Awakens, Episode 7, Last Jedi, Episode 8, and Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9.
Burn that film to the ground.
And we will get to that. And in the last recording, we covered all of Force Awakens and most of Last Jedi. And now we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to tie up Last Jedi, and then we're going to segue right into Rise of Skywalker. And where we left off, we were just going to get into another controversial scene in Last Jedi.
Controversial?
Well, I mean, like, it was a big change, I guess you could say. Like, it took the fans by surprise with this, where Snoke is killed in the second movie, and the way it happened. So, fellas, what was your take on that scene?
Well, considering we didn't even know who Snoke was,
I didn't care.
We didn't care at all.
Yeah, we were talking about this beforehand. It's just like, who was he? Like, for the life of me, I'm thinking, like, maybe he's some, like, Sith Lord from, like, the Old Republic or something.
Who knows? He could have been Mace Windu. There were theories about that going around on the internet.
There were theories that it was Jar Jar.
Well, I mean, I feel like that was more of a meme.
Well, that would have been better than what we got.
Which was nothing.
Yeah, he's just some random baddie that turned Kylo. Then he's just killed off, and like we never know who he was. But I mean, it's just
we do know how he was created.
Oh, and we'll get into that. They talk about that in Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah,
for
in the dumbest way
for 3
possible.
seconds.
And it's just one line that a certain character says.
All
Okay,
right, stop talking Rise of Skywalker. Let's finish this up.
Yeah, we'll finish up Last Jedi, then we'll get into that. So we've already kind of went into like the fight scene, but the scene itself is what we're talking about here. And for me, I mean, okay, look, I get what they were trying to do here. It was kind of like a surprise, oh, you thought this guy was going to be like the main baddie, like the emperor of this trilogy. I thought they kind of like, how would you say it, defied the expectation.
Subverted the expectation of what Star Wars would have expected in making that Kylo Ren is the big bad of this season, there's no one above them. And it would also have led to a way that make it so Kylo isn't someone who's going to be redeemed. He is just an evil person. He killed his own master in a very slick and mysterious way, and now he runs the First Order.
And I personally really like that. You know, I thought it was kind of like a nice twist. Like, listen, I'm not taking orders for you. Like, I am my own master. Like, Preston, what was your take on this?
I mean, I certainly liked the fact that they were trying to do something original. And like I said in the last episode, this was just the director trying to do something different with literally no information he was given on where they wanted to go with it.
So that's the whole problem with how the pre-production failed in this. Like I've been emphasizing, they didn't have a plan in place. So Rian Johnson went the way that he thought would make the more interesting story, but it wasn't. But then when they threw it back to JJ didn't like it. Disney didn't like it. So here's what we got: Rise of Skywalker following that. So bad props to Rian Johnson for trying something different.
Yes, thank you, Rian Johnson.
But
that's
the real failures from this scene honestly come from the next movie is how they try to fix the problem.
And that's the case with both of the movies we've talked about so far. Everything in those movies I can turn a blind eye to, except for how they slap you in the face brutally in the next movie.
And now we get past. So Snoke's dead. They defeated all the guards, right? And then Kylo like lends his hand to Rey. I gotta be honest with you. When I saw that scene in the theater, I wanted her to join him. Can you imagine?
Honestly, I think that would have been
Can you imagine how cool that would have been?
Here's how I would have played that out, because it would have helped to tie into with Finn and Poe, which was keep to the storyline that Finn was meant to be a stormtrooper turned Jedi, so he becomes the Jedi, and Rey goes off with Kylo Ren and makes it a much bigger story as they're trying to bring Rey back while defeating Kylo Ren, and Finn is more than the stormtrooper he was meant to be and becomes a hero.
Yeah, like that right there would have been so incredible. Like I wanted Rey to turn. I really did.
With the way the story was structured, it felt like it would have gone so much better if she did go with Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would. Preston, what's your take? Would you have liked that?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
I feel like that was a very missed opportunity. I personally, I think that would have added. I think they would have upped the stakes up
I think,
a lot.
Like the reason they didn't go with that more was how much Rian Johnson seemed to want to go with the plot of you don't need to come from a big family to be a powerful Jedi or a hero. Kind of like that part with making Rey a nobody. Excuse me.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I totally get that. Like. That was, we've already kind of touched upon this, but the idea of her being a nobody, I thought worked out pretty well, because, we don't need her to be, this relative or something of, this big, important family or something.
It could have just been one person who was willing to be strong and chose to step up where no one else would.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have simply done that. And that's what Rian Johnson was going for, and it's also why I feel he didn't have Rey join Kylo. But like I said, it's just the problems all got destroyed, really, in the final cut of Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. And now I think that leads us to the final battle on the Salt Planet. What was it called again?
I don't think
Crate.
it had... Crate? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Because that's the thing. I will admit though, the planets in this trilogy are kind of forgettable.
Well, here's the thing. Crate was actually probably the best one. It's just I didn't remember the name because they don't say what the planet is that much.
Rian Johnson had the best planets, and the only reason I know this was the name is because of Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, because I don't even think they mentioned the name in the film.
They didn't.
Yeah, so it didn't get... And I didn't really play the game for Star Wars Battlefront 2, so I didn't know that was the planet's name. But it was a very unique planet and a very unique battle as to how it was going to play out, as they just needed to set... The whole point was the rebels have fled to this point, but the First Order knows they're here, and they call for help. And they're now got to hold out on this planet, hoping beyond hope that someone will come and help them.
Yeah, dude, I have to admit though, for me this scene was very intense because these guys are down, they're at the end of their rope.
Yeah,
they've
got nothing left.
They got nothing left, and by this point, I'm assuming they're at what would you say, 40 people left? Maybe even less.
At the absolute most, because remember, two of the shuttle. There was only one shuttle that made it down to this planet at this point, so there are very few rebels left, and they are down to just what rickety old gear they have in this base, and they've now got to fight the First Order, especially when they reveal the Death Star cannon that can, the whole original thought was this base has a very hard shield, and they can hold out. Then they see the Death Star cannon. Oh no, the First Order has a way they can break our shell. So we got to hold out again. We can't just hide in here forever.
Yeah. And the final battle, though, for me was a very good part because even these guys are at their darkest point, but they still continued to fight.
Yep.
Even the hope is almost gone. And I found that to be, I think this is one of the most intense moments in the trilogy, to be honest.
It was
with
honestly
you.
the most intense battle because it's like it is very much a small pebble fighting a mountain at this point.
Yeah, and so we know they're fighting for a while, and then I know we've already kind of touched upon, Finn trying to sacrifice himself. And I gotta be honest with you, I would have been okay with it if he was killed. I feel like it would have added to the story.
That's the only way that would have made sense.
It's the way that plot would have made sense, but I wasn't as okay with it because Finn didn't have much development. Like in this point, he finally accepts being a rebel and abandoning his life as stormtrooper and just wanting to survive, and that he's willing to give his life. So it could have worked, but it would have felt like you're robbing so much of Finn's potential story, and it's just because they've not given him any of our new cast time to really develop.
Not that matters because they never do anyway.
True.
So hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Yeah, and now, so after we cut from the battle for a while, so all hope's lost. They get trapped back inside the bunker, and then that's when Luke shows up.
Yeah, well, not exactly Luke. Remember, it was his projection of himself.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Quotation shows up.
Yeah, it's like he uses the most advanced technique that's ever been done by the Force. At least in what the movies have shown, is that he is able to project himself from across the universe, which is a very unique idea. And the subtle details, well, not exactly subtle, but those who were paying attention would have instantly known that he wasn't actually there, that this was just a diversion. The fact that his hair is shorter, he's more cleaned up. The lightsaber he shows is the Skywalker saber. And when it shows their feet move, when Kylo's there and sees that Luke's there and comes out to fight him, Kylo moves his feet, the salt moves beneath him. Luke moves his feet, the salt doesn't move. It's subtle things like that, and it was just meant to be a very unique spectacle as Luke performs one last great feat of the Force before his time runs up. Though they don't exactly explain why he dies after this, but who knows?
Yeah, and I gotta be honest with you, it would have been more impactful if he was there, in person.
It would have been if they did it like Obi-Wan's sacrifice in the first film.
Yeah, I would have liked that so much better. But guys, I gotta be honest with you, the most emotional scene for me is the scene where him and Leia talk one more time, because watching that film, knowing that Carrie died, not long after they filmed that, it was the last time that Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher shared a scene together, that part really got to me.
I get that, but that's more with the hindsight. But in the time that I was watching, I was like, it's okay, but it could have been done better. It has more impact because of what happened to Carrie Fisher. But I felt like the writing could have been a bit better for that because it felt a bit too short and kind of they're kind of talking about nothing for most of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, because it's you two haven't seen each other in probably 20 years, maybe?
I don't know about
at the
that.
very least a decade. Well, here's the thing.
It couldn't be 20 years.
Well, maybe 10 years. Because, I'm judging by the events of when Kylo looked like, so going back to when Luke when he thought about killing Kylo, he looked like he was
Kylo was
in
in
9 or 10 maybe.
No, if we had to guess, it's also, you have to realize they were having to structure Adam Driver because Adam Driver was a full adult and they still wanted him to be there, so they aged him down. So let's say he was in his early teens and he's at least in his 20s at the point in time of
it was only 6 years.
6-year difference. Yeah. Okay. So 6 years.
Yeah, so that's okay, fine. So they haven't seen each other in 6 years, but at the very least, though, you would think they'd have a lot to want to catch up on.
They didn't have time for that.
They didn't have time, but it still felt a lot like they were just all I remember of that scene was Leia's little joke that's I changed my hair.
Yeah.
And just some talking that I'm going to actually go try and save him. And then it turns out it was all just him buying time for the rebels to escape out of a back door. Which it was okay, but...
And why they would stop everything completely for one guy.
Well, the point was that Kylo wanted to prove that he is better than Luke. So, like how he forced all of the fire to kill all the ships to fire on Luke, then he forced them to stand back while he went and dealt with it. That was the whole point. It's just like it's Kylo's arrogance that he wanted to prove that he's better than Luke Skywalker, that he's the more powerful Force user.
Yeah.
That's why he held back, and Luke knew that. That's why his diversion worked, and they were able to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And so do you guys think overall that this scene worked well, or would you have changed anything?
It was okay.
It was okay, but like there's a lot. The problem is with changing this is like you can't really change it with the structure we were given beforehand. It required that's the biggest problem with this trilogy is that so many of the problems to be fixed need to change the entire story. So like there's not one thing that you could change or a few things to fix one scene. You have to fix a major problem that's throughout the whole series.
So in order to restructure that, I mean, you would have to redo like
You have
a
to
lot.
you have to redo all the way back to The Force Awakens. You have a lot of redoing.
Or before, if my book is a candidate for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or before,
yeah.
but it's just there is a lot of restructuring that needs to go in for a lot of the problems we have with the story to be fixed. There is no the only time we've had one simple solution to fix was the reason Holdo was hiding the plan from everyone, and that's just you put in the fact that there's a mole, you change the character that rats him out to the mole. That's a simple fix.
Yeah. I totally get that with those points and everything. And I gotta admit though, so now that we're through the battle, Luke and Kylo fight. Kylo realizes that Luke isn't actually there. He's like what is it called again?
It was just a projection.
It was just like a force projection, and then the rebels managed to get out in time, and then it cuts to Luke dying as he looks out at the classic two suns.
Yeah, and that was it was great cinematography, and it was definitely Rian Johnson paying homage to Luke's journey, ending similar, at least in a similar setting to how it began. Mm-hmm. Which it was great cinematography, and especially the song playing the same like a re-altered version of the score that played in A New Hope.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was okay. It still had a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, and Preston, what was your take?
I mean, I really have no more to add to that. Like, nothing that I could say about this matters when you're looking ahead to what's coming next.
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
I think that's a good leadway to go.
Oh,
to
yeah,
the Rise of
'cause-
Skywalker dumpster fire.
So
Just before we get into that, the reviews on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic, I'm going to read those.
yeah, just
On
to give you an idea.
IMDb, it got a 6.5 out of 10.
Pleasant.
On Rotten Tomatoes, a 52%, and on Metacritic, a 53. And an overall audience rating summary of people on Google, 3.3 stars
Out of 5.
Yeah.
out of 5.
Out of 5 stars. Okay.
Not good.
Overall not good. But
And the majority of those are either 5 or 1. There's nothing in between.
right. So Last Jedi overall ends with what's led to the rebels boarding the Falcon. Rey and Chewie get there in time to save them, and they fly off, and that's really the end. So the rebels are down to I would say maybe 12 people at this point, 10 people.
There's a small amount left, but remember there's another big time jump. I think it's a year time jump between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, because it all of a sudden jumps ahead to the Resistance being really strong, and magically Rey is very well trained.
Yeah, because we find out that Carrie Fisher has been training Rey over the time between these films, and the rebels have been able to rebuild their forces, which is okay, I guess. That's not the biggest problem. The fact of how they all grew. After all, take between Empire Strikes Back and The Last Jedi, Luke grew a lot more, and so did the Rebel Alliance. They also grew between the times. So you can't really judge that they grew between the time frames because same things happened in the past. So
That's true.
That's not really a valid complaint in my mind.
You know, one more thing about Last Jedi. This is a writing standpoint. Did you guys notice that literally Force Awakens ends with Snow going, it's time for Kylo to complete his training?
Yeah.
And Last Jedi never brings it up once.
Nope. Well, yeah. Now that you I completely forgot about that line even existing.
Yeah, he says that to the actor who played the older Ron Weasley in Deathly Hallows. He plays that officer. Like, what, do you remember the officer's name? I can't remember. Hux.
General Hux.
It's the actor who played the
His
older
name-
Weasley brother in Deathly Hallows Part 1, I think it was.
Yeah, it was in that character is Bill Weasley.
Bill Weasley.
How about you
yeah.
actually take time? I'm gonna look up his name right now.
Because I don't know his name, so I just wanted to say the only other
Domhnall Gleeson.
I believe it's Irish if I'm not mistaken.
You know, the planet, you know, the planet destroyer they have is being destroyed. He runs into the room and Snoke tells him, you know, come with me, bring Kylo Ren to me. It's time for him to complete his training. And like Last Jedi never brings that up. So that training you were talking about, Snoke.
Also, just a quick funny piece of information. Carl Urban and Ed Sheeran play stormtroopers in this movie.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, you know what else is funny, Preston? I forgot to tell you this. Do you know the stormtrooper that Rey did the mind trick on in Force Awakens to let her out of the thing?
Yes,
that was Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
I knew about that.
I didn't know if you knew that because these two are big James Bond fans. So I thought that was kind of a nice little Easter egg. But now we are entering the rites of Skywalker. I gotta be honest though, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk very much because I feel like these two have a lot of. They have a bone to pick with this.
Bone? Oh,
that's an understatement. I consider it an insult.
So we'll go one at a time, and I'm just gonna say my 2 cents first. Overall, look, this movie for me, it's watchable, but holy cow, it's got a lot of things wrong with the story. It has good action. It has good action sequences. There are good parts about it. I did like how the film honored Carrie Fisher
as best as they could.
As best they could.
Given.
Yes,
I'll give you that point.
Yes,
that's valid.
That one because it was very hard for them to do what they could because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were primarily reusing footage that they had cut from The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. There may even have been Force Awakens parts maybe in there as well.
Potentially, yeah, but it was footage that had been cut from the previous 2 films that had been repurposed. And then they had one scene where they did Carrie Fisher's death, which, I don't blame it too much because no one was prepared for what happened to Carrie Fisher. It was a shock. It was sudden. So they did the best with what they could.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think they could have handled that any better. I loved how they wrote their death into the story, and we'll get into that. I personally we'll get into that, but still, for me, I liked what they did, and personally, I was very happy because going into this, I thought the opening text was going to say that she died.
We get something so much worse.
Well, anyway, now that he's put his very meager...
Wait, hang on. Is he done? Are you done?
Almost. I was going to say, overall, I think it honored Carrie Fisher. It had good action. There are good moments, but there are also a lot of bad. But for me, I would rewatch this as for just a fun watch, something just watch for fun. But that's me. So now we'll go to Aidan.
No, we're going to go to Preston.
Okay.
So
never mind. Preston, go ahead.
Now that Chris has his meager and brittle wooden barricade up for this movie,
yeah.
Time for the hurricane.
Why don't you bring in the typhoon?
Yeah, I was gonna
okay,
say.
Let's start off with the rolling script. So anyone who is aspiring to be a script writer or a writer in general, never feel like you're a failure. Because remember this, someone got paid to write the line, somehow Palpatine has returned to life.
Yeah, isn't that like a meme? I feel that's a meme now, isn't it?
It was a meme since that film came out.
Somehow, Palpatine's still alive.
Yes. Like,
And it was Poe that said it.
Fun fact, this is actually true. You want to know how they initially announced Palpatine was coming back in this film?
A laugh.
In Fortnite.
Oh, really?
What?
How?
Yeah. It was first revealed in Fortnite.
No.
Then we got the initial trailer for Rise of Skywalker with the laugh. But that is how it was initially revealed that
Fortnite?
Palpatine was coming back. Nothing to do with the original source, with the original films, nothing. There was no indication that Palpatine could come back. And it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
Oh, I'm not done with Palpatine coming back. We're going to keep this pain train going.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So
the whole point of what Palpatine has been doing from his initial time of the Republic with Anakin Skywalker was to get someone to replace him. But then we find out he can replicate himself, and even in this film that he can replicate younger versions of himself. So why doesn't he just use this to make himself immortal, which is the desire of all Sith since the beginning of the Star Wars universe?
And they decided to develop this off screen within the span of probably a couple decades.
yeah.
No. So
After the Empire fell.
So Palpatine
Yeah.
is somehow able to come back, is immortal, making clones of himself, and how did he? And they don't even acknowledge how he survived Return of the Jedi when he got thrown into the Death Star reactor core before it gets blown into smithereens.
And I also love the writing in this, how they find Death Star 2's debris on that planet after literally the whole thing blew the
There
whole
was no
thing.
parts left at the end of that movie.
It was all
It was disintegrated.
it was incinerated. Like there's nothing left. And then they just happen to find it, on a water planet, and somehow the room where the Vader and Luke showdown happened is still somewhat intact.
And not
It's just
only
like,
that,
what?
but the dagger could still track the location, but it was sitting next to an ocean.
They pulled a Goonies.
Yeah,
And here's the thing I'll
literally.
always say, within Goonies, when they do the thing where they line up the stone thing, they were using that based off of landmarks that couldn't move. This is on something that could move.
And crashed there.
Yeah, it's like it's debris. Like
just
it
like-
can move, you know.
It's just like it crashed there randomly. So someone made this dagger with a simple little thing that can just pop out of the hilt, and then if you're standing in the right place, looking at something that can move, hey, I found this thing we're looking for.
And
It's
they
right
just
there.
happened to stand in the right place, too. They didn't even have to search for it. They were just there.
It's like, oh, we're already on the right space. Plot
let me go back to
convenience.
Goonies, how they do it. They establish with writing, they have been looking around in multiple spots trying to line this up.
Now,
Yeah, it
that's
took him
a
a
good
few
opportunity
tries.
for me to bring my book in that I was talking about, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, go
Not
ahead.
my book, but the
I was
book.
about to say, you wrote a book?
Yeah, okay. So this book, it's called Shadow of the Sith, and it really goes in depth about Rey's backstory. It's by Adam Christopher, by the way. So thank you, Adam Christopher. You did a great job with this.
For trying to salvage this dumpster fire.
94% of Google users liked this book. It was very well made. So he decided to go and delve into Rey's backstory and how her parents brought her to Jakku and that bounty hunter who owned the dagger,
Yeah.
where he came in to everything, because he was paid to hunt her down.
Yep.
And could never find her. And he gives a whole explanation for this that actually fits into the lore. And I had the thought after I audible read this book, like, they could have made this the first movie and then rewritten, like,
Last
The
Jedi.
Last Jedi to be the final movie, and it would have been an incredible trilogy. with just a little bit more prep work and a little more backstory.
And even then, it makes
Right.
sense because, like, they established in The Force Awakens all of the First Order's resources are on Starkiller Base. The hub of everything is Starkiller Base. They destroy it, and that's why it's so impactful that they are attacking in Last Jedi. Like, it's the last of their forces battling it out.
Yeah. Well, and it also explains how Luke and Lando come into it too, because they were actually helping her parents escape.
Yeah.
And like he eventually catches up to them, but can never find Rey. And what's interesting is they never have Lando and Luke meet Rey, so she has no idea at the time who they are. But it's just they make it very structurally sound, and it's really interesting.
Okay, so there's actually a good book that comes up with a better story because it was actually structured and adapted from material that was established. So
And
in
it was
other words,
leaving all those movies as is.
yeah. So
So Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker were all three of them adapted into book form?
no.
No.
Remember, this is like a prequel book of the events before that happened in Force Awakens.
Gotcha. So the books that Preston's bringing up are prequel stuff for this trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I might have to look that up though sometime. But yeah, Preston, going off of what you said, I would have been so down to see that. That would have been very interesting because I'm glad you brought up Luke and Lando. So like the next part that I wanted to go into, it's like I feel like this film kind of did a disservice to Lando.
Kind of. He was barely in it.
Yeah, that's the thing,
had
though.
2 lines.
Listen, I was happy to see my boy Lando back, but it's like, why is he showing up in the third movie?
in the middle of a desert.
And he's just like, oh, hi.
This random desert planet that they have had no inclination to come here beforehand.
Which, by the way, is now the 3rd desert planet in the Star Wars universe.
How many desert planets does this galaxy have? That's 3.
Well, that's 3 so far, and maybe there's more, but because the freaking writers are unoriginal in this, we get another desert planet.
And they don't even explain why he's going around there. They say he's like looking for a daughter or something.
Like,
I don't even know.
I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
like-
It's that unmemorable.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. But the thing that really got me was kind of like, you find out that him and Luke were trying to find that random dagger that was conveniently wrote in for like it's isn't it like a plot device?
MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin.
A MacGuffin. Thank you. I can remember the word, but my whole thing. So you find out the reason they couldn't find the dagger is that you had to sink through. Like, what did they sink through? Like,
it was a sinkhole.
Yeah. So like
they just randomly fell into.
So little backstory: Rey and Poe and Finn and
3PO.
and 3PO and Chewbacca, they're out in the desert trying to find the dagger.
Because they're trying to find a Sith holocron to use to navigate to the secret planet that Palpatine's on, that Kylo Ren already was able to get to completely during the opening cutscene. Just, so much convenience.
And
like,
offered
literally.
to take Rey with him.
Oh, yes. We forgot to mention that. Kylo offered to take Rey with him.
Yeah.
So a lot of it could have been done. She could have just been like, hey, I'll follow. Leave a marker for the path. Here you go. We're at Palpatine's planet. Ta-da!
Yeah, I feel like that would have worked so much better. No,
it wouldn't have worked so much better. It's how easy this would have been done, and it's
Right.
how poorly this plot is constructed when just a simple detail like that blows this whole plot over. Like, this is literally a house made out of cards that is literally just one shift in the wind away from falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many shifts in the wind for this thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I like how they just randomly walk onto the sinkhole. They just
Yeah,
randomly
it's just they're walking around,
sink in.
Like, this is a good spot. Oh my God, we're falling. Hey,
Yeah.
look, it's the dagger.
Yeah, plot convenience. And I like how Finn is trying to say something to Rey because they thought they were going to die. And Rey asks him, what were you going to tell me? He's just like, never mind.
Oh,
it's never brought up again.
Of course. Like, it's just they keep trying, like, then it's also just a bit how they, I'm trying to find the way to just segue into this with the fact of, like, trying to give Finn a love story in this dang thing.
It's too late.
They
We're in the
didn't try
last
to give
film.
him a love story. Are you talking about that one thing where he's like, hey, Rey, I have to tell you something?
Yes.
That wasn't a love story. And you know how I know that? Because the people that made this movie decided to make a book explaining all the things they didn't bother to put on screen. And what he was actually going to say is that he was force sensitive, something that in canon everybody is.
Yeah. So
This is breaking my soul.
Well, they weren't even creative enough for a love story. They were going to have him say that and then decided not to. And then it never was addressed again.
Yeah, I just don't understand. It's just like, why are you adding all this in books? Why didn't you put this in the film?
It's the point of like with pre-production failing because they didn't structure this. They didn't come up with the solutions beforehand. They had to write books afterwards to salvage the mess, to try and justify and saying, "Oh no, this was completely intentional." When anyone with half a brain realized, "Oh no, you screwed the pooch."
Also, one more thing I will give credit to this book for is, do you guys remember who that Sith guy was that they were chasing with the dagger?
No.
Yeah. His name's Ochi, and he was part of a Sith cult that was extremely lore-friendly and made a ton of sense, and it was really, really interesting that they didn't bother to explain at all.
Of course.
You know,
Intelligence.
here's the thing though. I forgot to mention this. I actually learned my best friend Jonathan told me that they actually wanted to make a two-parter. I heard JJ actually wanted Rise of Skywalker to be a two-parter.
That wouldn't have saved it at that
wouldn't have
point.
saved
You don't
this
think
problem.
so?
Nope.
Not at that point.
Not at that
Nothing
point?
you could do
This
with
film
the
is too-
lack of development of character. You can't do that.
You would just have
They
to
didn't
restart the
bother
whole
to do-
trilogy, right?
You know,
Like-
a two-parter is like it would have given us the best salvage, but like I said, this all keeps stemming from the intense failures of pre-production.
Like, if they made more movies in general, that could have helped because they could go into backstory. But they gave no character development. Making that a two-parter would not help.
Yeah, considering the first two films, there is literally no character development, no past development of any of our main characters.
Except Rey.
Yeah, except Rey and a hint of Finn. We've got nothing for Poe so far.
Nothing for Kylo Ren.
Barely.
Except for the fact that who his parents were. That was it.
And his bad dream with Snoke.
Which
That's-
meant nothing because Snoke meant nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the failure of the first two films. Making this into a two-parter doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah, because I feel they had too many problems.
The only solution was restarting.
Yeah, the only that's the only thing they could have did. And so I feel like we've already kind of gotten into what we could have changed in some ways. But for me, the main problem overall that I had with the story is just like there was just too much plot convenience. And
I think we should retitle this movie Star Wars Plot Convenience.
yeah, you really
You can't even call it plot armor because it doesn't protect anything.
And here's something else. Do you guys remember at the beginning of this film where they're meeting up with this spy that's giving them information and Poe's flying the Falcon?
Oh,
and
we should talk about The Spy, by the way. That was the biggest load of crap ever.
Yeah, and I know I wanted to get to that, but here's the thing though. I like how this movie introduces like what was Poe doing with the Falcon? Was it
Light speed skipping or something?
Yeah,
which almost wrecked it.
Yeah,
no,
he
and
almost destroyed it. He literally crash lands it on the
'cause
rebel
here's-
planet,
'cause
like
also,
on
here's the
fire.
thing, like this show kind of destroys the fact that you can't light speed in orbit, and he keeps doing it repeatedly. The lore has established that doesn't work. That
Even
is-
Han Solo didn't do that. Not once.
Because here's the thing: they're not like creating wormholes. They are moving at light speed. They hit a speck of dust. They destroy the Falcon.
Yeah,
So
like Han even says that in New Hope, or Luke's giving him crap, like, why aren't you doing this? So he's like, if we like, this isn't like flying on Tatooine, boy. Like, I have to be precise with my calculations. If we hit anything, we're toast.
Exactly. That's why light speed skipping, what Poe is doing, doesn't work, because you can't do calculations like that fast, and you have to do it where there is no debris to hit.
And also, this brings out another plot hole. Going back to the Falcon and Force Awakens, like, what did you guys think about when Han had the idea of like coming out of light speed the minute they entered the planet's
I don't want to talk
atmosphere,
about
like,
that.
No,
I don't want to talk about
that's
that.
the same problem That's just the exact same problem that I was saying
Like-
with light speed skipping.
Like
It
how
doesn't
it,
work.
like it's just like how it should have ended even touched upon that in real life. The minute they done that, they would have crashed right into the
You know,
planet.
it-
like
it's-
they would have been
It's not
dead.
even worth mentioning. It really
it's
isn't.
physically like it's like, look, George Lucas was not the best of identifying physics correctly, but he was able to maintain within a reasonable realm of believability. This trilogy, nope, believability out the window.
Yeah, I just thought that was so funny. And going back to Rise of Skywalker, though, so I feel like the next part we should get into is about. Now, is it about the half? It's not the halfway point where
I don't even know. This
We're-
movie is all over the place.
it is, but like, before we get into that, we need to talk about the spy character, Preston. Preston,
No,
I want
no,
Preston. I
no.
want you to do it because I feel like we
Okay.
haven't given you this. I feel like you had a turn of talk in a while, so the floor is yours. Take it away.
So to give this some context, the spy is none other than General Hux.
General who?
Hux.
Yeah.
The guy from the last two movies who was barely there and was a Weasley in Harry Potter.
Yep.
Now, there's another book because, again, the writers after production do a great job about Phasma, where she works with Hux against another stormtrooper named Cardinal, who actually believes in the First Order because he thinks they're doing something right. And they work to kill Hux's father so that he can be put in place of him. He's this ruthless man who is all for grinding his like God-fearing fist into the ground. And he decides to betray the First Order because he doesn't like Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Like,
yeah.
Even though
like
he killed his own father.
A straight up line in this freaking movie.
I'm the spy.
I don't need the resistance to win. I just need Kylo Ren to lose. And it's like,
And he literally says, I'm the spy.
yeah, he
Yeah,
straight
I
says,
just
oh,
love-
I'm the spy. Hi, everyone.
And they
And
try-
the
and they-
way they react. Aidan, talk about the way they react to
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna. Can I?
yeah, go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say like the movie tries to pull it off as a comedic. Wasn't Poe like I knew it was you trying to act like all funny? It's
Which
just like
pours salt on the wound.
They were trying so, like that was another big problem. They were trying to be funny and comedic when I'm just like, you don't have room to be comedic with how much of a dumpster fire you're trying to salvage. Comedy doesn't fix crap.
yeah, and like you know what? I want to take a step back for a minute. Here's something else that had a problem with this movie. What was the whole idea of them supposedly killing off Chewie? Like Rey's
that
trying
made
to.
no sense.
It's just like, okay, the First Order has Chewbacca, and Kylo and Rey are having this battle
Of trying to grab
the ship, and then Rey
Rey
just has lightning come out of her hands
And
out of
that's not even
nowhere.
the big problem. That's not the huge problem here. The problem is they clearly saw Chewie loaded onto a ship, and then it took off from that rock. She blows up a ship, and then they have the audacity to insult the audience's intelligence by saying, "Oh, it's okay. There was another ship."
Yeah,
Like,
we don't know why.
what?
We don't know what. There's no explanation that there was another ship. There's no inclination there were two ships that landed on this planet. But nope, there were two ships. It's
It
completely
blasted
fine.
off from the same rock. I guarantee they had that scene filmed before they even thought of that plot.
I feel like they originally J.J. Abrams intended to kill Chewie that way, but then Disney came and was like, no!
You know what? That's very, very likely too.
Yeah, because like, dude, this trilogy, you gotta admit though, they did not care about the original cast.
It
No,
doesn't
no,
matter
no.
that they didn't care.
They just didn't care.
Yeah, no, it's not that they didn't care
No,
about the
I mean
original
it's
cast.
just like, dude, it's just like all the characters you know and love. Like almost the entire main cast got killed off in this trilogy.
Well, I don't
you
have
know,
a
like-
problem with that. I mean, that
No,
kind
that's-
of makes sense.
yeah,
but
it's
they
meant
just
to
didn't
pave the way.
care is the problem.
But they weren't respectful about it either. Like Hans, I thought was all right,
No,
given the context.
You cannot say that his was all right. It was pointless.
Well, not necessarily,
I'm
but
kinda with
that's just
Chris
my.
on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I like the way they like with what like Harrison said he was only going to do one more film, so it's like they had to do something, and what
Okay, fair enough.
and what they wrote, I liked it. It was
okay.
It was him
Fair enough.
It was him, like, think about it though.
He was trying to reach back out to his son, and then to show how evil Kylo Ren is, he doesn't accept this and just kills his father
Yeah.
right in front of everyone. Which it's more doubling down to the fact they should have made Kylo Ren a complete bad guy because he was willing to manipulate his father into giving up his own life, and
Yep.
that was it.
Yeah, and then, Luke's, I feel like, could have been done a lot better. I think he should have been physically on the planet,
Yes,
and he should have left the island with Rey to redeem himself instead of being a spiteful, bitter old man. Just I want to live alone, stupid thing,
They wanted to do like the Yoda route with him, but they should have done the Obi-Wan route.
Yeah, they should. That's my opinion. But I think Luke's could have been done way better. And with Leia's death, I thought they did a good job of writing that in the story, so I was okay with that. But if they killed off Chewie, I would have been so mad. Like, can one original character make it, please?
C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Yoda though, because that was a bright spot in Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi for me. Was Yoda's ghost showing up? I did appreciate that. I thought that was
Mark
good.
Hamill even said he got emotional when they were filming
And
that scene.
it was also a very interesting thing to just of Yoda saying like failure's the best teacher, and that the sacred texts like they don't necessarily matter even though they weren't actually there. Oh, can we also remember the fact that the sacred texts don't even get acknowledged in this movie?
Yeah, like we see,
Which,
like,
and that just adds to the fact that I'm so angry at this movie, because the other two movies, I truly enjoyed them despite their flaws, and I could look past the issues and be like, you know what? They clearly are doing something right. This may not be amazing, but it doesn't need to be.
They're trying
this
something.
literally felt like a slap in the face to me.
Like it's
Yeah,
just because Disney did not like anything Rian Johnson did, and because the reaction was so polarizing, they're basically just like undo everything that he just did.
They should have co-directed the third movie.
Yeah, they should have. And like going off of the books, like what Aidan was talking about, we literally see a shot of Rey closing a drawer on the Falcon with the books, and we never see him again.
That is the only acknowledgement we get about the sacred text. So
She doesn't read them. They're not ever
it's-
pulled out
it's
again.
implied that she read them between the films.
Except you'd think that Leia would have had something to say about that then. Although, granted, I know she did die, but
it's
still,
just
like something could have been done with them.
Yeah.
He could have
Anything.
mentioned that
Yeah.
Leia taught her from them or something. Like, they did nothing.
And now I feel like this is going to be a good segue. So we've covered the main story. There's one more scene I want to cover, though. What did you guys think of the scene of the lightsaber duel between Kylo and Rey on
Complete dog crap.
Oh yeah, dude.
Well, this can't be the last scene you want to talk
Oh no
about.
no! This ain't the last one, but I want to talk about a few more scenes before we get to the finale. That I'm trying to see if we kind of set, because the finale for me was it was kind of a weak part for me, because it's basically a recap of Return of the Jedi. But we'll get to that
But
in
we'll
due
hold
time.
off on that.
We'll get to that in due time. But dude, I'm telling you. Who were the choreographers for this trilogy? It's just like, did you guys not watch the previous, films? It's every lightsaber battle in this is two kids hitting sticks together.
It's kind of like
I don't even care about the choreography. I care about the setting of it and how it ends.
Yes, you were saying though, Aidan. Go ahead.
Let's go with how the choreography looks. So the original trilogy was more like a bit of a traditional sword fight, still a bit over the top, whatnot, like it naturally would be for a film of its time, whatnot. Then you got the prequels and the Clone Wars era, which was complete over the top, very flourishy, very flashy. And then you have this. They're just swinging their lightsabers around like baseball bats.
Yeah, literally. Like I said, dude, there's just two.
Kind of like bonk.
Yeah, bonk. Yeah, it's just two kids with like sticks, just having like a mini sword fight. And just what happened?
I swear to God, there's better choreography from me and my older brother playing with lightsabers when we were kids.
Yeah, dude, me and my best friend Jonathan, we had so many lightsaber battles in his backyard when we were kids, and we could have did a better job choreographing than what they did in this trilogy.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's atrocious.
And that whole lightsaber scene was just like, what was the point? I know Rey wants because
the holocron.
the holocron thing, whatever the heck it is, and she ends up besting him, and then
also, we gotta remember, some reason Kylo Ren showed up. We have no acknowledgement why. He just shows up.
He's just there, and anyway.
One thing I just thought of, this is a little off topic, but you mind if I say it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the Disney Galaxy's Edge land in Hollywood Studios at Disney World, they didn't even bother to take from these movies. They also took everything they did for that from a book called Black Spire.
Yep.
They didn't even they have the characters walking around, but they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to take from this movies as source material. We're making this Black Spire outpost.
Yeah, that's funny though. It's like even they acknowledged how bad the film is. Like we're gonna take our info from this book. Thank you very much.
It's just like, we're done. Like,
we're
not
done.
acknowledging this movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I gotta admit though, guys, like the scene that follows where Leia talks to Kylo Ren and she dies, and it was like the final push that Kylo needed to turn good. But then,
guess.
No sense
it didn't make
at all.
In a way, yeah, it did. And then Rey just randomly stabs him, and then she's like, "Okay, on second thought, I'm gonna force heal you." And
Yeah,
then just leave you.
Oh, we should talk about force healing.
Oh, God.
The
Yeah,
magic system being broken.
Again, that, and I was going to find a way to segue, but I think we already kind of did that. So I like, okay, so we learn, apparently, has this always been a thing?
No.
Well, actually,
there is
here's the thing,
force
there
healing, but
is-
not like that.
But it could. It's not force heal is not a very clearly defined ability. The only place it's really been used a lot was in video games because they needed to have a reason for you to get your health back.
Yaddle was involved in it in Clone Wars.
Yeah, but it still was. But the way they handle force healing is so stupid. I do not believe that you can just be like, I use the force, I close your wound, I heal all the problems.
Yeah, because we actually
snake.
Yeah, because to clarify what Preston just brought up, I was gonna say this earlier in the film when they fall through the sinkhole, they enter a cave system and they find this giant worm creature that's injured. And Poe, I think, was going to shoot it. The Rey's like, no. She walks up, just randomly heals it.
Puts her hand on it, close her eyes, breathe. It's healed. Hey, you leave us alone.
She was never trained on that, by the way. They even acknowledged it. They're like, how did you know to do that? And she said, I don't know.
It just
it's
felt
just the
right.
force between us, the balance.
It's just they are
it's
just
a snake.
Okay, I want to make your head, sir. I just remembered something. Do you remember the little orange character with the giant glasses?
Oz. One of the few really interesting characters
that
in
they
the series.
completely abandoned.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally. And do you remember how she brought up to Han? Han's like, where did you find Luke's blue lightsaber? A question for another time. Never gets answered. Ever.
Nope.
Never answered.
Nope.
And why did we hear Kenobi's voice? Aaron McGregor's voice?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor?
Because fan service.
Because fan service.
Yeah, they didn't. There was no other point other than fan service. That's what they were relying on.
Oh my gosh! It's just like
I know you're kind of going off topic, but I also want to talk about this. We missed it with the Sith dagger. Remember when Rey picks it up and she goes, "This dagger has done horrible things." Currently wielding the Youngling Slayer 9000.
Yeah. She's using the blue lightsaber that Anakin murdered how many kids with in the Jedi Temple?
Yeah, just like I said, the Youngling Slayer 9000.
Also,
Yeah.
it's never even explained how it got there because, literally, the last place we saw that was in the dumpster at Cloud City.
Like Vader slices off Luke's hand, it falls down. And remember, here's the thing though, remember when Luke jumps down there, it goes down one of the tubes, it goes out. It's just outside.
It's in the ether. That should not have appeared again.
The saber would have been destroyed. It would have burnt up in the atmosphere. So
it's just as lazy as saying somehow Palpatine survived.
Survived. Somehow this lightsaber survived. You don't know how. It's just here. Just roll with it.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jurassic Park 3 when he asks the kid how it got T-Rex urine, and he says, "You don't want to know." No, you don't want to know because even the writers don't know.
Yeah. It's just like
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. So now we're gonna get back to the horribly choreographed duel between Kylo Ren and Rey. So Rey leaves Kylo there just sitting there for some reason, just contemplating his life, I guess, at this point.
Yep.
And then he's just standing there looking out in the distance. And then we get an hallucination of Han Solo talking to him, which, dude, I gotta be honest, though, I liked the scene of Han talking. I liked it.
It made no sense.
No
it was a
sense.
really poor excuse to justify killing Han. And
just to bring him back one last time.
Which he didn't even want to do, and it just felt like again they were trying to polish a turd.
Yeah.
Like it was meant. I bet it was meant to be the full thing with Carrie Fisher, but they couldn't do it. And actually said she passed, and that's I think why Harrison Ford came back, which is like there's like we wanted to do this with Carrie Fisher, but she's passed. Would you mind filling in? And that was probably just like okay, for that reason I'll come back.
Right. And I totally get that too. But I mean, it was kind of nice though that was the push that Kylo needed, I guess, to be somewhat good again.
Yeah, and then straight up copying lines from The Force Awakens.
Yeah, just reusing lines, just like that was lazy though.
Good point, Aidan. Why don't you cover that a little bit more?
They straight up the way that conversation ended was reusing the exact same lines from The Force Awakens.
The only difference is this time Kylo Ren decides to throw his lightsaber into water.
For some unknown reason.
Because
he needed it desperately, and the next few scenes.
I need a lightsaber. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, one thing I just realized we forgot to mention.
Oh, no.
Well, actually, we can mention it when we get I think, are we ready to move into the final battle on the planet?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to say, so now we segue to Rey going to meet with the Emperor, which you find out she's a Palpatine. And, dude, the reveal of that is just like, okay, it's been a while.
Kylo saying, "You're a Palpatine."
It's just like,
But
it was me, Barry.
you're his granddaughter.
Dude, the way it gets revealed.
But I thought she was nobody. What do you mean she's a Palpatine?
Yeah, it's
they
just
they were pretending to be nobodies.
yeah, it's just
Because
that makes perfect sense. So now she's going to go battle her clone grandfather and
unknown reasons.
for unknown reasons.
All the Sith.
Yeah, I'm just.
What does that even mean?
I'm just all unnatural.
Like I'll get into what that is once we really get into the final battle. But
so of course, like Rey gets her butt handed to her, basically, right? It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but
I remember one final detail.
Remember.
I do remember one detail, and this is what I wanted to get into.
Okay, go ahead.
Was how they completely effed up the Force dyad. Like
oh,
we
really?
talked how in the original, like in Last Jedi, it was a very interesting thing, but then this film completely ruined it. So first off, we have on the weird planet when they were trying to access C-3PO's Sith language memory thingy. And then like Kylo Ren and Rey have a lightsaber duel between Force dyads and are somehow able to hit and strike each other, which makes no logical sense. How are they hitting each other when they are on completely different locations?
Right.
Then in this final fight, as Kylo Ren is rushing, I'm coming to save Rey. Here are the Knights of Ren that are here to fight Kylo Ren. We have not seen them in any of these films. They've just been referenced.
Yeah.
They even have a line, which I swear that was either Ed Sheeran or Carl Urban, one of those stormtroopers, were like, "Knights of Ren, goals."
Yeah.
That could have very well just been them
Who
doing
knows?
a cameo.
But anyway, but the Knights Ren have to fight. Wait, I threw away my lightsaber. I don't have a lightsaber anymore. Rey, hey, I'll hand you Luke's lightsaber. I'll hand you the Skywalker saber through the Force dyad because that makes sense. And then I'll use Leia's lightsaber. Yeah, we forgot to mention Leia was trained as a Jedi, which is okay, but it's very last minute. It makes no sense.
With
Yeah,
that
like-
logic,
Yeah.
all they would have had to do with the Death Star plans is just magically send it up there.
Yeah, and I just like before this even happens, Rey Rey goes back to Luke's island before she even goes to the Emperor's planet, wherever he is, and she burns the TIE fighter. Then Ghost Luke just randomly shows up to
Tell her, no, go fight. Stop.
Go fight.
Quit sulking. Go fight.
Yeah, go fight.
Yeah, don't do the exact same thing I did and gave you no reason not to. Go fight.
Yeah, go fight. It's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then, like I said, just back with the Force die, like, evidently, instead of it just being a linking of the minds that they can, like, see and talk to each other, no, we can transport items from different locations. That make no...
This doesn't make sense.
It breaks the mind.
Yeah, and then the Emperor realizes that he's like getting power from like torturing them or
Just
something.
like, yeah, like I think it's meant to be the idea of like he's draining the Force from them, but no, they just do it as just like lightning, unlimited
and then
power.
you know, and
I
this,
can't hold on much longer.
yeah, but anyway, this whole scene is literally kind of a recap of like Return of the Jedi, because it's the same scene. Emperor's like, your friends are not going to survive this battle. They're outnumbered,
You cannot
outgunned. They're
say
all
this
going
is
to
the
die.
same scene. It had similarities.
At least the dialogue. But what the ending sequence is a 100% ripoff of is literally Endgame. Of this third act ripped off Endgame in every way possible.
Well,
100%.
So here's the thing, though. So I think I know what they're talking about. So Kylo gets force pushed off the edge. We don't know if he fell or if he's hanging on, but Rey is injured. She can't.
He's not talking about
Go
that.
ahead. Keep going.
Anyway, Rey's injured. She's laying there, doesn't know what to do. She starts going, "Talk to me, talk to me, be with me." And then we hear all the voices. Like we hear Hayden
Christensen,
who played Anakin.
All of the original stuff, just for the biggest fan service dump you've ever seen
And
in
then,
your life.
like, we
You
hear
also heard all the Sith,
for some unknown reason.
And then
even though that
we-
was entirely
yeah.
connected to Palpatine in some unknown way.
Yeah, we hear Ewan McGregor. We hear the Ahsoka Tano voice actress.
Yeah,
like we
we get 'em
hear
all.
Windu,
we hear
Yoda,
we hear
etc.
we get all of them. So that's not what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about that scene.
No.
So she gets back up. She gets both lightsabers, Leia and Luke's. So she's like Lara Croft in this, dual-wield
And then just
lightsabers.
lock them together.
Lock them together.
Stop the lightning. Push it back. Victory.
While saying, "And I am all the Jedi."
Yeah, no, let me go into how this is like ripping it off, because it's not just Leia's sequence. It's what the rebels are doing above her. So,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So here's the thing. Remember, we have the skeleton force trying to fight this big enemy with the last of the resistance fighting the last of the First Order. That's that. In Endgame, it was Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America fighting Thanos. They get their booties handed to them. And then Cap's just like, oh, I gotta stand alone. Then Poe's just like, we can't fight them all. There's too many. We're not enough people. Then Lando goes, but we are. And then the entire rest of the galaxy shows up. Avengers Endgame. Sam's on your left, and all of the people that have been fighting in the movies show up to help fight Thanos.
Yeah.
And then this scene. And then down there with the like, and I'm all the Jedi. That is literally the ending between Iron Man and Thanos.
And
It's like
Thanos,
Thanos just like,
yeah.
I am inevitable. I am the Sith. And I am Iron Man. And I'm all the Jedi. Boom.
Yeah, boom.
It's
Yeah.
literally a ripoff.
Yeah, and
Also,
then
the space horses. The
the
space horses.
space horses. Oh, I forgot about that.
They ride horses onto starships.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah,
While
why
using
not?
blunt, hacked together weapons, and they
Oh,
managed
man.
to destroy these ships.
the
that
blunt
were
weapons-
designed to
here's the
destroy
thing.
planets.
Well, the blunt weapons actually make sense because it's established in lore that like stormtrooper armor is only resistant to laser shots, but blunt objects break through them like wet paper.
Yeah, and I would also like to add, do you remember do you remember the red stormtroopers that are introduced in this?
I completely forgot about them.
Yeah,
even know
exactly.
what you're
Because we
talking about.
never see them. Yeah, apparently they introduce a new kind of First Order trooper. It's a red trooper that literally you never see. It's on the sidelines. You'd have to pause the scene to look him out in a sequence.
Really glad they spent a lot of money designing those costumes to do nothing with them, kind of like the Knights of Ren.
And the Knights of Ren, oh my gosh. But yeah, Aiden's already said enough on that. But so Rey wins, lo and behold, like we weren't expecting that. She just randomly dies. She just literally just falls over and dies.
And then Kylo Ren just climbs back up. Ooh, give you my Force energy. I heal you. Oh, but I'm gonna die now after Rey kisses me. So much love and attention.
Which makes no sense.
Dude,
how is he gonna die from that?
Dude, one thing that made me so angry about this movie was them killing off Kylo Ren. After everything this man went through, he carried this trilogy. You can't deny, though, that the actor, what's his name again?
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver carried this trilogy. With what he was given, he tried so hard to salvage this. He really, really tried.
And they thanked him by killing him in the dumbest way possible.
Dude, you know what I wanted? I actually wanted Rey to die. That would have been somewhat
Yes,
like...
please.
No, not that I didn't dislike her. I just think that would have fit the plot better, you know? And I think it would have been better if the movie ended with Kylo looking out at the two suns, because he's actually, you know, an actual Skywalker.
Yeah, no, we just have Rey claiming the
the
names.
rise of Skywalker.
Like, yeah, but...
Dumbest name.
So, yeah, Kylo saves her with the Force healing that we talked about earlier. They kiss, then he literally kills over and dies, and he disappears Yoda style, and just like Kenobi as well.
Makes no sense.
No sense whatsoever, you know. And everybody, the rebels win, of course. They all go back to the planet. They're all having
all the happy-go-lucky stuff.
And then,
yada, yada,
And then
yada.
she magically buries both Luke and Leia's lightsaber,
and we'll get to
gives
that.
her a yellow version.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. And also, there was something else about this film. So, do you guys remember the whole thing? How so much of the fans didn't like that Chewie did not get a medal at the end of New Hope?
Yeah, they just give him a medal.
And
it's literally just another fan service dump.
And
Just
here's
another
my-
trying to polish the turd.
And yeah, and the character who gave it to him, what's her name again?
Maz.
Maz. Where did Maz get the medal? Where did that come?
knows?
Where did
That
the
is the
medal?
least of my worries at this point.
I
mean,
look, here's the thing,
we
though.
just saw space horses, my dude.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, my Jonathan brought that up to me. You know, I didn't even think about that. It's like, where did she get the medal from? But anyways,
The same place she found the lightsaber from the void of BS.
she just has like
Aidan is really holding back right now.
Yeah.
I know what he wants to say.
Oh man, yeah. No.
Because I want to say it too.
But yeah, it's okay.
Must be said.
Yeah. Anyways, so the rebels win. We're having the
All
happy.
happy-go-lucky, yada, yada.
And then we just cut to Rey going back to Luke's original childhood house on Tatooine,
Which is still there for some
Who
reason.
knows? Like, even though it supposedly got burned down by the stormtroopers in the first film.
It
Yeah.
was completely untouched.
and anyway,
there's this-
she just randomly buries
The lightsabers.
the lightsabers, and the one
Even though Leia had never even been there in her life. That was
Yeah.
not her home.
Leia had not stepped foot on that place once. Well, granted, I mean, like, her home planet was kind of blown up by the Death
but
Star,
still, she still never had any ties to Tatooine. She never came there. She never even knew Uncle Owen.
yeah,
Even within the Obi-Wan series, she never once went to Tatooine.
never.
Exactly.
So yeah, she just buries the lightsabers, and the one she keeps. What was that one?
That was her. That was meant to be her own custom lightsaber.
Which came for no reason.
Yeah, it was literally just because people were complaining that she never got her own lightsaber and she was just using her own.
And then she never once uses this thing because she has it
and
for
then it's
5
also meant
seconds.
to be more fan service with saying, "Oh, she has a yellow lightsaber." It's more fan service dumping.
And there's already in established lore a Jedi with a yellow lightsaber.
Plo Koon and
Yes, who's way cooler.
and the Jedi Temple Sentinels.
yes.
Yep. And so it just
And
ends
then
this.
also, random lady comes out and says, "Who are you?" "I'm Rey." "Rey who?"
Rey
Rey
Skywalker.
To justify the end.
And then she just looks out the two suns with the new robot next to her.
BB-8.
BB-8.
Why was BB-8 attached to her? He was meant to be Poe's droid. What the heck?
he straight up was a Poe's droid. They clearly established that.
It's Poe's
Yeah.
droid, and then nope. I want to be with Rey.
Yeah.
Yeah, BB-8's a cheater.
Yeah. And
honestly, you know,
Oh,
I
man.
feel like this movie forgot that it was trying to be a movie and then decided that it was in complete agony and was trying to do everything it could to die.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my gosh, man.
That's this movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh god, I think that's where we gotta stop. Man.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, that's our cover, but like, oh man, it's just an act.
And
this
just
whole
think, there is so much more we could go into.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like we kind of already gotten into it. Would you guys have anything more to add regarding like maybe like a rewrite or maybe something you would have changed in this film's story?
Burn
I
it
feel
to
like
the
we already
ground.
covered that.
Yeah, we covered it. Burn this to the ground. Have that book be the starting. Then Force Awakens, Last Jedi. Boom, there's your uncle.
Right.
I feel like we should give this a rating before we leave.
Non-existent.
Yeah,
no. 10.
Maybe I think actually we should do the trilogy overall, not just this movie. I think our rating should go off of all three films.
Trilogy overall, probably a 6 out of 10.
5.5.
Yeah, you know what? 5.5. This movie in particular, I would rate it a Cinderella 3 out of Jojo Rabbit.
Like, there's not even a comparison. Oh, that's funny. Okay, Preston, I give it to you. That was actually pretty good.
I give this a should not have ever been made or exist, and I wish it would be destroyed.
Dude, you want to know what's really funny though? Sometime soon, you should look up the actors on the red carpet when Rise of Skywalker premiered. None of them liked what they did with this film. The video's called "The Rise of Skywalker Cast Being Done with This Film for 10 Minutes," and it's just them in interviews. You can just tell
no one liked it.
They hated it.
Much like the Star Wars Christmas special, I feel like in the future they're going to be asking these people in interviews what they thought about these movies, and they're going to be like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what movie you're talking about. I don't remember being in that."
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and for me, I would give the trilogy overall, you're gonna judge me, a 7. I'm giving all three films a 7 because I would rewatch them right now. They entertain me.
You're giving this a better rating than you gave Temple of Doom?
Well, I don't like Temple of Doom. It's the weakest Indiana Jones film, in my personal opinion.
I agree with that too, but it doesn't deserve to be worse than this.
Well, here's the thing. Though. That film isn't watchable for me. There's a lot of things about that are dated, a lot. But, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I feel like I'd rather rewatch these than Temple of Doom. If we're talking about that film...
Well, I'm sorry, I don't speak wrong.
Aidan, I guess we can't judge him. I mean, he doesn't like the Clone Wars.
What do you mean? I do like the Clone Wars.
You said that you don't like the Clone Wars movies.
No,
you specifically said that yesterday.
No, the prequels. Not the... Dude, the Clone Wars show is one of my favorite TV shows.
I'm talking about the Clone Wars prequels.
Oh, no. Like, the Clone Wars show is like one of my favorite Star Wars. I think that's actually my number one favorite Star Wars thing is the Clone Wars because I grew up with it. Like, I saw the 2008 film in theater... No, I didn't see it in theaters, but I watched it not long after it came out, and I watched every season as it aired on Cartoon Network as a kid. Clone Wars I had the biggest attachment to, which is kind of like what I was telling you guys before we did this recording, why I'm such a huge Ahsoka Tano fan. I consider her to be one of the best female leads in Star Wars history. Like, she's up there with, like, Leia, like she's up there.
Padme.
Well, Padme kinda, but yeah, overall. But that's just my 2 cents on that. Like, Clone Wars, actually, before I go, though, that just brings up a good point. So, Clone Wars is my favorite Star Wars thing of all time.
It's the best Star Wars story of all time, next to The Mandalorian.
So, what would be your favorite, though? So,
Mandalorian.
Aidan, okay. Preston, what would be your favorite Star Wars thing,
Mandalorian or, honestly, Revenge of the Sith, I love.
Yeah, that's a good one, though. I would rewatch that one. I feel like us giving us a brief mention that would kind of help us get over the depression that this trilogy has put us in. Like,
repair the damage that has been done.
This.
With that being said, I'm still a big Star Wars fan. Nothing can destroy that.
Yeah,
but I will never recover from the damage this movie did.
Rewatch Rise of Skywalker. You will. I would rather die than rewatch that movie.
Yeah. So you can understand why I was so anticipating these 2 recordings because I knew these guys were going to tear these films apart,
and here's the thing. If we had more time, we could keep going.
Yeah, I know. And I just think it's so funny. But that's going to wrap it up for us covering the Sequel trilogy. I had so much fun with this one. And this is the first time that I've done a 2-parter. And I just want to say, I hope you enjoyed that. what we had to discuss, and it was kind of cool. It's been a long time since I've done one where it was kind of like I wouldn't say this was a rant, but it kind of felt like it a little bit.
We could have kept going.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I want to thank you guys for being on the show yet again.
Good to be back, buddy.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Yeah. And I just want to say, hope you enjoyed this recording. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I really don't. But I will be figuring that out. But whatever it is, it's going to be very cool. That I promise. So till next time, I'm DJ Apollo.
I'm Aidan.
And Preston.
And you are listening to the Tales of Music and Film.